Hi, my name is Nancy Weinstein. My parents had already adopted my brother and wanted to adopt another child. And so the way it used to be is that you would go to an agency, you would let them know, hey, we would like to adopt another child. And then you would just wait until they called you to say, we have a baby that's been born that matches your desired baby. And so would you like to come and see him or her? So my parents traveled from Washington, D.C. to New York to see me. And when they arrived, they said, yes, we'd like to adopt her. And then because of the court system, there was a little lag in time of adoption. So I was born December 15th of 1975, but I wasn't brought home with my parents until in February. I think there are a lot of times where I think about where I could have been, what could have happened. My biological mother was 17 years old. And I think of my own daughter, my oldest is 14. So she's not that much younger than my biological mother was when she had me. I also thought about it when I turned 17 a lot, about what my life would be like if I was having a child. So that comes into my mind throughout my life at different moments, like, wow, this is where I am. These are the opportunities I have. Because my mother chose to put me up for adoption, and I was placed in a home with a mom and a dad who could take care of me and provide the opportunities and exposures that she certainly wouldn't have been able to. And I know that I've talked to other adoptees, and not everybody has the same experiences, but mine have all been positive. In fact, it's one of the reasons why we chose to do foster care. I wanted to impact children in some way, so we chose foster care. We didn't know that it would end in adoption, but we are in fact adopting our little guy that we have had for over 2 years now. He was in the foster care system, and at some point it was very obvious that his parents were not going to be able to care for him. At the point that they were asking us about adoption, we very much felt like it would be putting our own child up for adoption because he had been living with us since he was 2 days old. For me and my husband, we just very much were like, yeah, he's a part of our family. We're definitely going to adopt him. I think God brought him to us for a reason, and I think that there really was no question once we just sat down and talked about it. He's not officially adopted yet, but we are in the process of adoption. I just think that a lot of times families are, they have it in their heart or their minds that they might want to adopt or they might want to be foster parents, and there's always something that's blocking that, and generally it's fear. And yes, fostering, it does make your life more difficult. I mean, you have another child to care for, but there's so many wonderful things that come out of that, and the need is so great. I would encourage anyone, if they have that longing in their heart, they're thinking like, maybe we would want to adopt. I would often say you should. You should. You'll change a life forever. I can't recommend it highly enough. Your life will be changed and you'll change others' lives. There's nothing more important than that.
I'm Andrea Holston. I had a brother who was adopted 7 months before I was born from Korea. So since my brother was adopted before I was born, I don't know what life was like without having adoption be part of that story. So growing up that way, it was just always, you didn't really think about adoption because it just was what it was. Having an adopted brother, you don't really think of it differently. But when you do think of it and you're cognizant of it, it was pretty neat and pretty impactful. Really, I didn't think about us being different, but when I did, I really loved it. I loved having an Asian brother, and I just kind of tucked that away. Actually, I think the Lord tucked that away in my heart. And then as an adult, having it be a 2-year, it was 26-month process from the time that we started the adoption process to the time that we brought him home. So you think, okay, now we've reached our goal, we have him home, and we lived happily ever after. But the truth is, it continues to renew in our lives, in all of our lives. I can speak personally, but I could even share things from the kids' perspectives too, how their lives have changed with Kai, Sadie, Meg, and Haven. But each day I'm being refined more and more and seeing more about myself, things that I actually really don't like to see. But I think, wow, if it weren't for this little guy coming into our life and us giving him something, but what he's doing for all of us is incredible. I think we all need to have a perspective or a closeness with adoption, that we understand it. Not just adoption, but about lives that are out there. seen firsthand, like widows, orphans, homeless, and being able to speak to that specifically and having an involvement in some way, shape, or form, whether it's time, treasure, or talent, of being invested in those different areas. I hear oftentimes the response is, why would they bring into their perfectly good family all this challenge and all this potential upset? And I say, if not them, then who? Does this kid deserve to have a home? He comes from maybe a drug background, whatever it might be, through no fault of his own. Does he deserve a home? Yes. Well, then with who? But they always think it should be somebody else taking care of it. It can be scary and challenging and but incredible and beautiful too when you walk in that faith.
Hi, I'm Gina Shellhammer.
And I'm Alan Shellhammer.
We took in a 4-year-old boy as our foster son 3 years ago, and we finalized his adoption last January.
So when we took Aiden in as a foster son, initially there were concerns that he might go back with his mother, and so early on there was a little bit of an emotional hedge just because we didn't want to get too attached to him and then find that he was going to go back with his mom. But once we recognized that parental rights were going to be terminated and that he was going to be a part of our family, then I think it made it very easy for us all to kind of feel like we were all in terms of adopting him. And so from that vantage point, it's very easy for us because we knew that we wanted for Aiden to be a part of our family. We had one of the teachers for the courses for the fostering and adoption program had told us at one point she had almost 100 foster kids over a period of about 20 years. And she said that she had so many people that would come up to her and tell her, I could never do what you do. And her response to that was typically, well, of course you could, you just choose not to. If more people made the conscious choice to take a chance on a kid like this and give them an opportunity, then they'd realize that it's actually a big blessing.
Hi, I'm Amelia Shellhammer. Being 9 years old and being told, hey, we're going to bring another kid into the family, it's one of those things where it's another kid, and at a young age it's like, well, now I've got to share my parents even more. I thought that I was going to be like, oh, this is just one more distraction for my parents and for my family, but it actually it's been one of the greatest experiences of my life, and just seeing happiness through pain is one of the coolest things. We kind of had to figure out, okay, who is this child? Because this kid, although he doesn't have a mom or a dad or a family, he has a personality, and he still has a heart, and he needed love. And that was one of the things that I felt like I could give him, not being a parent, being just being there for him. When I was told that, okay, he's gonna be adopted, he's gonna be a part of your family, I felt God kind of saying, okay, this is the path that I have for you and for your family and for him to be a part of it. And with foster care, it's awesome to see how the kids grow and how the kids change, but once he was adopted, I felt like he could be a part of the family. I look at the 13-year-old girls without a home, and I try at the slightest and put myself in their shoes. And I would say to someone who thinks, I just can't do that, think of all of the things that those kids think that they cannot do because of the opportunities that they aren't given. These kids believe that they aren't ever gonna make it anywhere, and the thought of that should really make you think that you could make a difference.